to me, life is calling me to live more, right? Like creativity comes from the experiences that we have, the conversations we have with people, the things that we do for the first time. So when you feel a writer's block or creative stillness, for me, I'm being called to do something.
Welcome, everybody. My name is Walter Gaynor II here at Black Writers Weekend for Bookmark Live. This is an incredible venue powered by Black Writers Weekend in Riverside Epicenter. We're thrilled to have so many amazing speakers here, writers, creators. It's really a wonderful event. Today I have with me Diana Alejandrino. Okay, I've been
Perfect.
practicing. I think I messed that up too.
Perfect.
Perfect. Appreciate you.
Let's
She's
get
an author, community facilitator, and writing mentor. Really does a lot of different things. Her work has been contributed in different places, both as an author. She's working with African Magazine Noir and many projects. Want to dive into them all. But first off, thank you for being here. What's it like kind of being here at Black Writers Weekend?
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's absolutely amazing. This is my second time participating in such a beautiful event. My first time was at a panel last year, and I got to interact with amazing writers and just discuss so much about what we do. So being here and actually doing a workshop was just like, wow, the community, the involvement, and just how beautiful everything looks. Like, even the setup is just amazing. So I'm really grateful.
Yeah, we're in a new place this year too. Every year I've been involved, it's just like feels like we're always like upgrading into like a whole different venues and everything. But last year was really cool too because we had to get to be at a lot of different venues to celebrate some of the local businesses here in Atlanta. But this time we're here at Riverside Epicenter. So panel last year, workshop this year. What made you want to come back and actually do a workshop this time?
Absolutely. So the first time during the panel, I received such beautiful support of writers that were there and had questions and wanted to initiate their writing journey. And I just thought to myself, why not actually show up and have more time during a workshop where I can talk about a little bit of my journey, but also include the aspect of wellness, because I like to say that our writing is a reflection of our inner self. And so the more that we heal, the more we connect with the parts of ourselves that need nurturing and love, the better our writing can be, right? The more that we can explore and allow ourselves to be creative. So I was like, let's host a workshop.
That is such an important workshop to do, that wellness piece. I don't think that majority of us take care of ourselves enough. I think we're learning the different ways to, like, what self-care means for us in particular, not necessarily like this is self-care, but like what does it mean for us ourselves. So how do you, what does wellness mean for you specifically?
Oh, wonderful question. So I think I would like to start by saying that as a writer and creative, I like to call writer's block creative stillness. And that is the way that I refer to my creative wellness, right? I think as though when we're experiencing a blockage with whatever that we're going through, to me, life is calling me to live more, right? Like creativity comes from the experiences that we have, the conversations we have with people, the things that we do for the first time. So when you feel a writer's block or creative stillness, for me, I'm being called to do something. Maybe I need to be under the sun a little more. Maybe I need to go take myself to the movies. You know, maybe I have to just separate from all the goals and the constant hustle of every day to take care of myself. And what does that look like? So to me, that is wellness. And wellness can be just as simple as napping. I think that we don't have to overcomplicate what wellness means to us. It can be having a conversation just like how we're doing right now and making sure that we don't lie about what we feel and what we're going through. That is wellness, right? Transparency, stillness. Maybe you just need to sit and actually enjoy something that you've been meaning to do without feeling like I must do it after I don't know, go to the gym. Why not just do it when your body's telling you to do it, right? That you need it. So that is like wellness to me, right? Just honoring our vessel, honoring our own individual journeys, and making sure that we don't project that onto other people, and that we're actually taking the time to ask ourselves the hard questions, but also incorporate like the rest.
Man, okay, so it doesn't have to be like sitting under a waterfall. It could just be sitting down in
Right.
your kitchen.
Right. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. I
I love
agree.
that creative stillness. You said that's
Yes.
beautiful.
Thank you.
That's really cool because I think that's like the opposite of what we hear sometimes. It's like a push through and
Right.
keep going.
It is. Yeah, and that's what's worked for me, and I love that a lot of people in the community have also resonated with the creative stillness instead of like the block. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so tell me, you didn't just like weren't born and like okay started writing away. Like what really got you into this? I know you immigrated to America at the age 9, but when did your like becoming an intentional writer or creator begin?
Of course. Yeah. So I was born and raised in Dominican Republic. Actually moved to the United States when I was 13, and I didn't speak a word of English whatsoever. So that was a journey of itself, moving from a different culture and then incorporating into a new one, learning the language. And so when I was in Dominican Republic, I first started to write around the age of 9. But it was like quotes, like sweet romance quotes or thoughts in a diary, that hard lock diary from back in the day with the little tiny key. And it was just my way of expressing, right? My parents really created a safe space for me to do that. So I was able to also ask questions. Now, when we talk about when did I realize, wow, like writing really is transformative for me, and my voice has so much power in the stories that I am captivating about my journey. I would say that it was definitely after moving to the United States that I had to go through the language barrier and also the growing up fast, right? My mom still doesn't speak English, so I handle a lot of the medical calls, a lot of the things. It was like, you have to, boom, grow up. And so I was expressing my story through writing. And the more I did it, the more I realized, oh, wow, this is poetry. Like, this is a lot of rhyming going on over here. Like, what am I working on, right? And it became a safe space. It became a creative expression. It became the way that I capture my story. And then in 2018, through the help of friends and people in my life, they're like, maybe you should just open your Instagram and share some of your poetry. And so I did. And then the journey has taken on from there. And it's been very amazing, sometimes challenging, but there's no growth without challenge. So it's been truly a blessing every step of the way.
Yeah. So your friends encouraged you to put it on Instagram. I'm kind of curious when you first started noticing that, you're kind of good at this. You got some rhymes in there. Did you notice it first, or did someone else kind of see that, be like, oh, hold up, you got something?
I would say that it's always easier for people to notice it first, because it's harder for us as individuals to give ourselves the opportunity to do something without being judgmental. So I would say somebody else, just like how somebody else pointed out, you should open your Instagram because your poetry is beautiful, right? And then as the time went by and I came into terms with my voice, what is Diana's voice? Because there's so many poets, beautiful poets out there and writers, but I don't want to imitate them. I don't want to be like them. I can have inspirations from them, but what is my voice? How is that I write? And I think when I finally cracked the code of what makes me as a writer, it was more of the decision to continue to learn, right? And stay open. 'Cause I don't know everything about writing. We learn as we go. So that was like, okay, I got this. This is good, and I can continue to do good through my writing.
Okay. Yeah. That cracking code process, how long do you think that took you?
Oh, we still working on it, but the moment of okay, this is it for me, was that I was really going through a phase of judging my writing and comparing it to others, which is very normal for writers to look at somebody else and say, why am I not there? How can I not be there? I'm working so hard. So I was going through that phase of my writing isn't good enough. My poetry isn't good enough. It doesn't sound fancy enough. I'm not using all these words. And then I had to sit with the fact that, okay, Diana, you like to post short quotes, right? Sometimes you express yourself in shorter form. Sometimes you do it in longer form. Sometimes it's more of a message to the audience in a form of a letter. You know, this is how you express yourself at the moment. And those who will receive it will do it with so much love. So why continue to change who you are to fit what you think somebody else would like to see, right? Or to match somebody else's writing style or audience when it's not my audience, right? So I just told myself, if it's just one person who says, thank you so much for posting this, I needed it, period. Okay.
Yeah.
I received that. Even if it was nobody, that is where the why comes from. Why do you do what you do? Which is something that I ask all my mentees. Why do you want to be a writer? Why do you want to be a podcaster? Why you want to publish your book? Because not everybody's going to love your work and it's going to support your work. So what happens when nobody's buying your book? You know,
Yeah.
what then? Then you didn't do it for yourself at the end of the day. Right? So then when I really came across that thought of, if I put anything out there, it has to be with intention, right? And I don't want to do it because the algorithm is telling me to post 3 times a day. I want to do it because I feel it. So that level of acceptance is the level of like acceptance that have allowed me to continue to learn from other people and learn how I want to show up as a writer in the world, right? And as somebody that loves to bring community together.
You know, a couple of thoughts ran through as you were speaking. One, the number's up to 6 times. They're saying you better post 6 times a day.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But also, I just like, as I'm speaking to you, I could just see just like, I'm thinking about the people you mentor and work with and help lead. I'm like, man, they're so lucky to have someone like you who really understands not only the craft of writing, but finding your voice, but also that stillness and just like the wellness part of this as well. I think it's so easy to get caught up just trying to chase what you're supposed to do. But then at the same time, there's the whole concept of like the starving artist, and some people looking at writing as like just a hobby or something, but kind of found a way to do it, make it a craft and just pursue it. I'm kind of curious, with the people you work with, have you found any common like barrier hurdle that people are usually struggling with before they could kind of crack the code for themselves?
Comparison, which is the thief of joy. It's a big one. People compare themselves to people who are writers who already made it, right? It's not a realistic comparison, right? I think that a lot of it also is inner fear. What if somebody that knows me read this, right?
Yeah.
It's like the very first one. Sometimes it's the courage, the fear that you feel before you are courageous. Whether you're writing because you're about to speak about a trauma, right? Because that's releasing it. And so that can be a hesitation of, am I ready to actually open the door and close it through my writing? And sometimes it's just they are lacking guidance and they didn't know that they could do it. And they just needed somebody to be like, come on. You know, like I work with people that are like, look, I've been thinking about open up my blog and I want to do this and I want to do that. And when I start to just have conversations about the easy steps that they can take, they're like, why am I in my head so much? Right? It doesn't have to be so complicated. And that's why you need to make very realistic and digestible goals with your creative projects instead of, yeah, in a week I'm going to have a whole 200-page book done. You have to take into consideration your everyday life, how you're feeling, you know, your needs, your wants, even your wellness, you know. And realistic goals can mean, okay, today I sat down for 5 minutes and wrote nonstop. Great. That's an accomplishment to me. Man. You know, instead of, oh yeah, I have to sit for an hour and push something out that in my soul I don't feel right now. So that's how you honor your creativity. And that's what I try to tell them. And that's most of what I see. Okay, I feel hesitation. I don't have the time. I lack the structure, comparison, or I'm just fearful because this means so much to me. Yeah. And I fear people would judge me, or I fear people that I will be speaking about would attack me, or like, you know, so it can be heavy for some.
No, that is heavy, because I definitely relate to the inner fear part. I think what helped me actually get out of it and put my own creative projects out was just the internet and knowing that, like, okay, no one actually I know knows about this page. Shout out to all the strangers.
I know, right? Because
Yeah.
as soon as you see that friend or that family member,
like,
you're
"Oh,
like, okay, maybe I need to take it
nope."
down.
Right? Just kidding. I was playing.
I agree.
All right, so let's talk about some of the works that you've put out. What was the first thing you published? Was it poetry? Was it a book? What was it?
Right. So my first and only book so far is called Agridulce, which means bitter sweet in Spanish, and it's a collection of poetry and prose. I published it back in 2021 with Gatekeepers Press. And I did it as a hybrid publishing. So then after the book was completed and they helped me with the process, it was go time for me. You know, I had to learn how to promote, how to step out of my comfort zone, how to reach out to people, how to work with other creatives to get an opportunity, you know. So I think that it was such an amazing journey, challenging at the same time, but I wouldn't be here without it.
Yeah. So I think there's like a number of different ways to kind of share and get the word out about your work. Which one have you found is the one you feel the most comfortable with?
Of asking people to like support my work.
Support the work, promote it, get the word out.
Yeah. So these are just tips, you know, that I even tell like my mentees. I think that one, you have to get comfortable with rejection. Not everybody's going to say yes to your pitch. So let's say you have a podcast, and I think that I'll be a great fit for your podcast. I'll go ahead and write a pitch, find your email, send it to you. That's always been really good for me when I'm working on collaborating with individuals and also being community. I'm going to do my due diligence to learn about you, and then I'll pitch myself in my book, and then we build something together. I think that that is a great way to do it. Of course, you can send a DM, but I rather be as professional as possible. You know, I want people to know that I do care about their work, and I think that that is very important when promoting your book or anything that you do. Make sure that you're collaborating with people and communities that speak to you. That is not just because they have 400,000 followers and you think that it will be great to get a spot on that page, but you don't know anything about what they do, but it doesn't really resonate with you. You know, make sure that you actually do your investigation and say, you know, this speaks to me. I think that this will be a wonderful collaboration because these are the people that are going to look out for you and you for them in the future. Now you have a partnership with them. And that is something that I gained while publishing Agridulce. Anybody that I send an email to or DM to or spoke to, I make sure that I really wanted to work with them. And even if some of them didn't work out, the people that say yes to me are still people in my community who look out for me and I look out for them. They're like, Diana, I have this opportunity. I think that you'll be great for it. Go ahead and apply. Yeah. Or I send emerging writers to them. I say, hey, these are some people that I think will fit, you know, your book or what you're trying to do. Give it a try and see where it takes you. So I think email is great. Of course, you can find a lot of information in social media. And if you are somewhere where we have like the Black Writers Weekend or anything like that, then show up to the events in person. Show up with your book and your business card. You know, like I went to Canva and printed like 100 business cards for $100, and I was going everywhere to my open mics. Like, this is who I am. This is what I do. This is my book. You know, you have to show up for yourself before you expect anybody else to show up for you.
Oh, that's true.
So, yeah.
Otherwise, they're not going to know who you are, what
exactly.
you do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to email, actually. Email is slept on. I check my email like 3 times a day, for sure. See, that's it's an old school but tried and true method.
Yeah.
It works.
Don't take it for granted now. Email can be it can be powerful, especially that follow-up.
Oh, yeah. Follow up.
They know. Yeah.
You know what's actually funny? It's usually when people reach out to me, it's usually the follow up when I respond.
Right.
I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, you persistent. Okay,
yeah,
all right, let's talk.
Hey,
I forgot about
it's
you.
me for like a week ago.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to hear a little bit more about your work with Africa Noir magazine.
Oh, of course. So I started working with Africa Noir magazine late last year, and it was interesting because I found them online and I really loved what they were doing in their platform, right? Highlighting creators from, all over the diaspora, BIPOC writers, African culture, Caribbean culture, from poets to designers to food to a little bit of everything. And I was like, this is so beautiful. And because I'm always looking for opportunities where I can also highlight emerging writers, because going through my journey of publishing or just being a writer, I noticed that there were so many beautiful, beautiful poets with not enough opportunity to be seen. So I actually reached out to them for a collaboration, and the founder, Gaye, was like, "I actually want to meet with you for like bigger plans, girl." And I was like, "Okay, what are these bigger plans?" And we got on a Zoom call. We talked. She said, "I actually would love for you to be part of the team. So you have your own section about poetry and writing, and you can do whatever you want." And I was like, "Oh my gosh! Like, thank the Lord. This is beautiful." And so I started working with them and had a poetry series where we did IG lives with emerging writers that it was their first time ever doing an interview. I did written interviews with them as well. And that was just so wholesome because it was just like, I'm able to give back to the community something that I was looking for when I started, and I thought that I wasn't good enough to receive. And now they have received it, even if they never published a book before or anything like that. I was just like, let's do this applications, let's select some writers, and we're going to continue to do the work. So it's been wonderful. There's a lot more ideas and projects happening soon. So I definitely would tell people to check them out online and reach out as well. They're a very wonderful community. From all over, really. We have people who are in Africa right now, here in the United States. It's just beautiful and very diverse team.
That's really cool. Man, that's cool. So you kind of brought that thing that was missing, kind of filled in the gap.
Correct.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What's it, is that something you ever kind of saw yourself doing, like kind of being in that space? Well, really just across the board, it seems like you are someone who's like a player and a coach, someone who's writing and then also being that resource for other people. What does that feel like, just knowing that people could come to you, you could actually provide some guidance and everything?
It feels really, I feel a sense of alignment and purpose through it. I never thought that I would be doing a lot of the things that I'm doing right now. It never really crossed my mind. But you wouldn't know unless you take that first step. And I think that I just have always kept my heart open to learning from other people and receiving and moving with love and respect, that some of these things just happen on their own, right? So I just continue to be in awe when they happen, right? Because sometimes I'm not expecting them at all. And usually I feel like a lot of like our individual journeys, the one thing that you want so much doesn't happen right away. Right? It happens when you're at least even thinking about it.
Very true.
Or think that you deserve it anymore, right? Because maybe you're being called to place your focus somewhere else. And so the opportunity to work with the magazine, I reached out to them as a one-time thing. Hey, I would love to work with you, like have a feature or do an IG live. And it became, can you be the lead poetry and cultural collaborator for the magazine? Wow, okay. I'm being called to do this. Do I have the energy? Do I have the time? Yes. So then it was definitely great.
Man.
Yeah.
That's cool. You're like, oh, I guess so. If you want.
If you want, I'll step up. Let's do it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you working on any other creative projects for yourself?
For myself, yes. So my second poetry and prose book has been completed already. So I'm really proud of it. My first one was a longer project, 162 pages. This one is right under 100. Really special, really free-flowing. I can't wait for it to be out. Then I'm also working on a nonfiction anthology.
Okay.
So slowly putting together these projects. And yeah, I have like several workshops online that I'm currently promoting, as well as in-person workshops here in Atlanta as well.
Gotcha. So, with the poetry book you're working on, well, for anyone who's interested in poetry but never actually bought a book poetry, what type of thing would they expect, like getting yours? Is it a collection of different stories
Oh,
and
that's a great
poems?
question. Yeah, so agridulce is divided into two sections, the sweet and the sour. At first, when I wrote the book and put it together without breaking it into sections, I was like, oh man, people are going to flip the page and it's going to be something super healing and beautiful. And then on the next page is going to be something super sad. And I was like, do I really want them to go through this journey like that? So I ended up dividing it. And what agridulce represents is all the types of emotions that we can feel as a human being and how they're all often telling us what we need to do and what we need to reflect on. So I don't want to suppress or dismiss these emotions. It's really difficult for people to talk about the darkness that we all have within ourselves. And so agridulce contains both. It contains like the anxiety or the depression or the inner battle, right? And then it takes you through what that is, what that felt like, and the acceptance of several of these emotions or all emotions. And then it moves through the healing, right? And the healing and the love. And it doesn't have to be just romantic love. It is the inner love, like the outer love, like the love for people, the love for life, the love for nature, right? So it takes you to what that feels like in my journey, right? So it's what I get often from people is that when they read my book, they say, you must have been spying my life.
You got cameras.
Because they're like, this is what I'm going through, or this is really what I was going through, or wow, I've been trying to express this in so many ways, but now it's here and it's clear and somebody else felt it, right? Sometimes the only way of knowing that you're not alone in how you feel is by talking to somebody else and they're like, I actually felt like that last week. And you're like, oh, so I'm not crazy. Like I'm just figuring life out. So I think that is agridulce, it's a journey of emotions that allows you to say, okay, these were temporary and I learned from them. And what did I learn from them? And now I have to continue to move forward into finding out who I am in this world, right? And how I can continue to embody love and joy and rest in my life, right? So yeah, that's agridulce. So I think people would really love it.
Agri-dulce. I was butchering the name of that book before, and actually during this record, Agri-dulce. But that's such a beautiful. Then you said bittersweet or sweet.
Bittersweet, yeah.
Bittersweet. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really beautiful. Do you think so? Getting that reaction from people, do you feel that aligns with your why, or is it's just another great feeling?
Oh yeah, such a great question. I think it does. I think it does because that means that my authenticity is speaking for itself. If I would have kept out the poems that I really wanted to put there, then I would have been moving with fear. And then people would have never been able to say, wow, this is what I was feeling, right? So the fact that I listened to my voice and I did it for myself to close a chapter in my life and that this actually ended up being something people received, yeah, it goes definitely aligns with my why. Right? Because imagine if I would have not, out of like complete fear, said, oh no, somebody is going to read this again and then blah, 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 and I'm not going to put it, I'm going to leave it out, then it wouldn't have been the same. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Man, if you would have pursued like a spy novel or something instead, which I'm sure you could do it.
Yeah, maybe I'll write some fiction. Who knows?
Yeah, let me know. I'll start on the TV adaptation. I'll be the extra.
Oh, that would be
pizza.
Fire.
You got to write in a pizza delivery person.
Okay.
I got that down.
Okay. We're plotting. Okay.
We're ready.
We on.
That's beautiful. Is there anything else you would like to share with us before we wrap up? I know there's a lot of things going to that. I don't want to keep you. So.
Yeah, no. I would love to share that I created a space online that is called the Creative Writing Hour, and we meet via Zoom twice a week, Thursday nights and Sunday mornings. So this started in January. I wanted to create a space for community to come together and work on their individual projects and have a section at the end where we can discuss what we just worked through or any challenges that we faced. And it's been so magnificent. I was so scared to do it at first. Like, I was like, nobody's going to sign up for this. I don't know. And in one day, I literally had like 50 people send me their emails, and it's grown to like 200 people on the mail list. And it's a wonderful space. I think it's a very healing space and very diverse. You know, you have people from all over the United States, from California. You have dads, you have moms show up with their kids, and they're working for that hour, and we share together. So I think it's been an idea sent from God, like just to bring people together. It's free, so anybody that would like to follow me, there's a form on my Instagram link. All you have to do is click on it, put your name, put your email, then I'll add you to the list. And I usually send like the link on Wednesdays and Saturdays for you to join. And you just bring your projects. You don't have to be a writer. You can be a screenwriter, you can be a podcaster, you can be a painter. You can just come in here and say, I just want to journal in community, and then talk about what I journal at the end. So there's no limitations as to what type of creative you have to be part of it. You don't have to be a poet. But we discuss a lot of different topics at the end. So I'll definitely suggest people to tap in with that.
I love that. And where can everyone follow you so they can tap in?
Yes, of course. So Instagram, Diana Alejandrina, and I'm sure that one is typed on the podcast. It'll be easier for people to find me. But that is on Instagram. That is on my website on the internet. You just type my name and you'll see everything come up. Website, Instagram, anything. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you much for your time. I might have to check that out because just the energy you give off is so like welcoming. It's like, okay, yeah, I need some of that.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
so I love that. And also thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you to our amazing sponsors, Afros and Audio, Ike Ocean, Amazon KDP, All Americans Vote, Delphine Legacy Media, and Riverside Epicenter. Your support means the world and makes this all possible. Also, if you're following or listening, watching, make sure you follow Black Writers Weekend on Instagram, at Black Writers Weekend. Use the hashtag. Check in with us. My name is Walt, and thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
All right.